Hello and welcome to our first round of interviews. I'm your host, as per usual, Moltar, Ryan, whatever you want to call me. I'm joined by two guys from Buddy Fox, who we mentioned last week, or a couple weeks ago, were going to be on to talk about their up-and-coming A10 UFC, Bamsey and Amvi, if you guys want to say hello.
Joined your channel.
Hi, I'm Bamsey.
User was moved out of your channel.
And we're just here to talk about Buddy Fox in general, you guys to get to know Bamsey and Amvi and what they're all about and what the products they have coming out of Finland mean for the rest of the DCS World community. So we'll get right into it. Start off, can you guys tell me, we'll start with Bamsey, and Amvi, if you want to pick up as soon as Bamsey's done. Just tell me about yourself, how you got into simming, how you guys met. Just give me the rundown of how things progressed to creating Buddy Fox and where we are now.
Well, that's that could be a long story, but let's try to put it short. Well, I'm 35 years old, Finnish. I got into flight simulators like when I was knee-high from Microsoft Flight Simulator 1 or 2.0 or something like that back in the 80s. And from ever since, I've been enjoying them best I could. Pretty much all the biggest titles, been playing them, and with the DCS, I kind of got quite deep with it. So because it turned out to be a small business kind of a thing, and we're trying to push that on. We met through a friend, I recall.
Yes, and with the we shared a hobby.
Yeah.
Which we
Awesome.
won't go now.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I'm Mikko. I go by the screen name of MV. I got into flight sims maybe in 1991. I flew Hellcats over Pacific for the first time at my dad's friend, and we got the FA-18 2.0 for Macintosh, and at that time I didn't understand anything about the English, so my dad read as a bedtime story the manual to me and translated it to Finnish.
That's how you went to sleep at night, is you got a bedtime story of aircraft manuals.
Yes, well, game manual, but that was quite comprehensive about the FA-18. I still have it in my bookshelf. The Buddy Fox, how it became, we had a conversation or two first in online and then a few phone calls, and maybe Ville can continue from there.
Well, so
yeah.
Or
just to kind of dial in here, how did you guys go from just meeting each other online to deciding, hey, I want to create a company and create products for the simming community? How did that come about?
Well, I guess it all started from the I recall we first talked about the CDU for the A10C, because we used to fly the Piggy pretty much online.
So the CDU was your guys' end game from the very beginning?
Yeah, well, it was a kind of a concept to build one for myself.
both of us have the MFD, the Trustmaster one, and
right.
And something about the exporting the displays to it gave a spark to this idea, and it became how to say,
kind of got out of hands.
Yeah.
With the project, but well, the CDU is pretty complicated, and you
Right.
don't usually use the CDU because you can replace it with the UFC and the MFDs. So it kind of got to the UFC from that point. And
Okay.
have you seen the proof of concept video on our YouTube channel about the UFC?
I have not, but that is something that I can play for everybody.
Yeah, well,
during
it's the first dirty model of just a button box with Leo Bodner's chip, the control chip, and it's just after a while we just concepted it to be a full-time dedicated controller and like a high quality, reasonably priced product for the community. So to get one perfect for yourself, you need to probably sell a few of them, and it started from.
So that gives me an idea on the UFC.
Yep.
And you guys said, both of you said that came from, that's what you wanted to do from the start. You guys also sell things like the GAW grease, the Teflon rings.
Yep.
Where did those come from? Were those just kind of things to seed you over? Where did those come from and fall into place?
I think the Teflon rings was like the first accessory that it all started from a personal need that I opened up and maintained and greased my Warthog stick, and the rubbery O-ring thing came up, and I had to figure out how to replace it. And,
so out of necessity.
Yeah,
you can get lost into the forums and find all cool stuff that someone has done in the past.
Yeah,
there's Teflon rings, there's UFC projects, multiple of them, and when you reach the end of the thread, you'll notice that it's died 2-3 years ago, and you won't have any success getting it or reviving it.
Now, we're going to stay on the topic of the GAW grease and the O-rings real quick. This is a little more technical, but where did the GAW grease come from? Where's it from? What kind of grease is it? What did you guys have to do to make that into the product that it is now?
Well, it's a mix of silicone greases for especially this occasion.
So it's close to the Nio-Gel that most people use?
Pretty much, yeah. And I guess we're having a comparison test for it real soon, but we have tried it. It's worked for us. So we because a lot of greases you can get easily lost in the selection of different greases, and
yes,
the Nio-Gel, that is one that has been talked about, and the community seems to use it, but it's pretty expensive and you get it in pretty big bottles. So we have, I suppose, a bit cheaper price and a reasonably sized packaging for it. It's about 10 grams or so. You don't need like 2 kilos of grease.
Well, maybe for some applications, but not for greasing the gimbal on your Warthog.
Yeah.
So about the Teflon rings, what about this? What's the story behind them? Where did they come from? You said you broke a ring when you were re-greasing your Warthog, but take me through this step of creating those O-rings.
Well, that's I have a company. We work with plastics and all kinds of stuff related to that. So I have good connections with plastic companies and all the machineries. So we can easily get rings like that manufactured. So out of personal need, we made the PDFA ring for replacing the rubber thing that comes loose by itself.
The rubber thing. I think that's an apt description of what is on there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amvi, do you have anything to add to either the GAW grease or
no, not
Bamsy
really.
just kind of took that over?
Yeah, that's quite comprehensive. My O-ring ruptured, and then I ordered maybe 5 years ago, maybe, for a need.
And haven't had any issues with it. So it just came out of necessity. Bamsey had
Yeah.
connections to get them created, and then
Yeah.
you guys went forward to market that as a product alongside the UFC and the GOG Grease. Is that how
Yeah.
that happened?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so changing gears away from the GOG Grease and the UFC, or the GOG Grease and the Teflon rings, let's go back to the UFC, since that's what most people want to hear about. How long has it taken you guys, and what were some of the hurdles and stuff that you've had to overcome from start to finish? So you guys have just launched the UFC into production. You just came out of pre-order. You mentioned, I think it was last week, I saw your stack of pre-orders that you had that you were mailing out.
Yeah.
So what has been the process? Take me through that. Have there been any like hurdles you've had to overcome, things that you've like head desk moments where you've slammed your head on the desk because you felt like, man, I can't get by this. We're stuck. We're goners. UFC is doomed to fail because we can't get by this. Take me through the life cycle, start to finish, of the UFC.
Heads to desk has been like a constant feature of mine for like the last 2 years or so. Well, it took about a year from like the start of the actual R&D to the launch. We tried to make it in 6 months. We started last summer. Of course, we had the concept pretty much ready and done by that time. So 1 year from the actual start of designing the actual product, the production model, getting it launched and delivered.
So it only took you a year.
Yeah.
That's an unbelievably quick turnaround time, I think, in most people's scopes of.
I look at it that we kind of failed because we couldn't make it in 6 months. we were trying to get it out to Christmas markets. We had some issues with, for example, the software and the key mat, which is made of silicone and cast in a mold. So those are pretty much the things that made the delay. Otherwise than that, it turned out very good.
Were there any other hurdles that you guys had to overcome?
Well, we changed the process. For example, the chassis. The first one we thought about making the panel out of aluminium, but it turned out to be way too expensive and hard to finish. So we had to overcome a decision to invest into plastic molds. So we could make the chassis from injection molded plastic, and the mold itself cost a huge amount of money, and that was a big head to desk moment, like a couple of weeks.
Amvi, what about you? I mean, we've heard Bamsey's take on this whole thing. What about you and your process and what it was like for you?
Well, Bamsey has been the driving force on this, and I've been supporting in the back, maybe helping with the software and.
Well, you made the ray gun also.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call it a
That real quick, explain what ray gun is, just so people that don't know what that is.
If we start from, ray gun goes with the BuddyFox name quite well. So ray gun is a software that can export the light data of A10C master caution light. If you wish, you can have it blinking when you have a master caution in your cockpit.
And to talk.
Yep.
And to talk about that real quick, while we're on the naming of BuddyFox and Raygun, where did the name Buddy Fox come from?
Blue on blue action.
It's a constant feature between us. Unintentional blue on blue action. It's
Ray can call on a buddy that didn't or did reply, the pilot who did the Reagan call didn't get the buddy reply. Yeah. It may or may not have been me.
Well, yeah. At least you admit some fault there if it was or wasn't you. That's unfortunate, but it's a good. I always like when names come out of just scenarios and you're like, that happened. That's going to be the name, just because it feels like it fits. And it's cool that you guys kept the theme of Buddy Fox and Ray Gun, and that's cool to see. I like it when everything just kind of fits together and meshes well with one another. But moving on from that, go ahead.
I think it turned out to be a pretty good fit for the whole brand thing because we don't want to be too serious about stuff. We want to do it like the best we can, but we don't want to be like dead serious about it.
Right.
So I guess all the Ray Gun Buddy Fox stuff, it just fits really nicely, even though it's an inside joke.
So moving on from the naming conventions and things of that nature, is there anything, you guys have a couple UFCs with you, do you not? Is there anything you guys want to show anybody?
A prototype with me.
So what's the difference between the prototype and the production models?
Well, there's quite a bit of component differences.
Is it just refinements and things?
Yeah. It works all the same. But for example, the
printing
LEDs
of the font.
and the LEDs are a bit more dim on the Proto. We brightened them up, especially on the Master Caution. It's a lot brighter in the finished product, even though it still didn't turn out to be just as good as I expected, but it was because of the key mat and the
hey, can you guys hold those UFCs up to the camera real quick, just so people can see them?
Gaming.
They are really cool.
Yeah.
But sorry to interrupt. You were talking about the lighting and the key mappings and stuff.
Yeah. So here you can see I'm using the Ray Gun software to control the Master Caution. You have the automatic thing that it's the data exported from DCS.
Mm-hmm.
We have only coded it for A10 now, but you can get it for working for all the planes that do export the information if the light is on or not.
Now, speaking about the buttons, are the buttons mappable to other functions?
Yeah, they are, or the whole UFC is a Windows hit device, a game controller device. Just plug it in, and it works just like any other game controller device. You can map it to anything, or you can use it in any other, like in Arma or whatever game you want to.
But for sticking with DCS, so I could map these buttons for like the 9 key on the UFC and in the F-18 or something.
Yes.
Okay.
I use it for vegan, for example.
Okay, that's good to know. I think everybody will be. I think sometimes people can be worried about, I don't want to buy something that ties me down to one module, but knowing that this thing can be rebound for any module in DCS, essentially as a normal button box, is good to hear. Yeah. So changing gears again, we've seen the UFC, your biggest hurdles and all that. Do you guys have any future plans? I think a lot of people would want you to say that you're going to do the F-18 UFC, but that sounds like it's hugely complex. But do you guys have any future plans?
Well, the F-18 UFC is definitely on the table. we haven't made any decisions about it yet. We want to see how this one sells, and of course, the F18 one is a lot more complex, and this is, design or concepting needs to take into account. Do we want to make the small displays, for example, for it, or just make it as a button box?
Yeah, should we focus on all type of customers, VR customers, or the ones that use touch screens or such? With what will be the way we'll go with the, if we go?
Yeah.
So is there anything outside of the F18 that you guys are considering or working on, or that you're willing to divulge, if there is something?
We have a lot of stuff, but just to mention some others, like universal button boxes and with knobs and switches or whatever, maybe even outside TCS use.
Right.
Maybe adding a motivational patches for the
Yes.
virtual pilots.
Yes.
Okay.
Moral patches. That's probably our next accessory, aside with the gow grease and Teflon rings.
So we're hitting about coming up on 25 minutes. So before I wrap this up, and
yeah,
is there anything else that you guys want to throw out there to the community? Anything at all that you guys can think of? Things that we didn't cover. Any ideas?
Well, I don't know. I really like the community itself. It's a very healthy kind of a friendly community. I think that is something to profit or take care of. I don't know. Is that stupid? Stupid
Well, it's all
stuff
good.
to say.
We've covered a lot of material. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure that we're not missing anything. But if you guys are
Yeah.
good, are you guys good? Do we need to talk about anything else? Or if not, I'll wrap this up so we can.
Do you have any sort of wishes or
Me personally?
wish list? Yes.
No, not really. I think what you guys are doing is fantastic. I like the form factor of the UFC. It's not overly large. Really, we just got to I'd like to see you guys succeed. And I think it's a benefit to the community. And it's still new. So we got to see what people's reviews are of it, but I'm sure they're top notch. But, yeah, I'm excited about it. I think everybody else is. We're just starting to ship, so we got to see what they're actually like. I have yet to get my hands on one, so it's we just got to see what comes of it. But
Yeah,
I don't really have any desires or anything. We'll just have to see where you guys take it.
Yep.
So I'll wrap it up there. We're coming up on 25 minutes. I want to thank you guys again, both, for coming to hang out with me. It took us a little bit longer and stuff to get set up, but you're my guinea pigs, so we're gonna try and do more of these going forward. Buddy Fox, Bamsy, and Amvi were just my first targets for making this happen, but look forward to these things coming in the future. We'll wrap it up here, and I'll catch you guys next time. Have a good one.
Thank you.